Okay, let's unpack this. We all do it. Every single one of us. We spend roughly a third of our lives doing it. And yet, if you look at the statistics, and honestly, if you just ask your friends or look in the mirror on a Monday morning, most of us are absolutely terrible at it.
We are talking about sleep.
We are talking about sleep. But I want to set the stage here immediately. We are not doing the, oh, I feel tired, I should go to bed earlier kind of conversation.
No.
We aren't here to tell you to count sheep, buy a softer pillow, or listen to whale sounds.
Unless the data says whale sounds work, which it doesn't.
Which it doesn't. And you're right. We need to move way past that kind of generic advice today.
We have to.
We are going deep. We have this massive stack of research in front of us. We are talking meta-analyses, observational studies on, specific demographics. We have data on office workers, and even some really granular biochemistry that explains what is actually happening in your brain at 3 a.m. The mission today is to look at the hard data, the actual machinery that dictates whether you wake up ready to conquer the world.
Or feeling like a zombie.
Yeah. And I think the biggest misconception we need to clear up right at the start, before we even get to the caffeine or the blue light, is this idea that sleep is a passive activity.
That is the core myth.
Right. I mean, most people think it like parking a car. You pull into the garage, you turn off the engine, and the car just sits there doing nothing for 8 hours until you turn it back on.
That is the common metaphor, but it's completely wrong. Sleep is not an idle state. It is an incredibly active biological process.
Really? More active than being awake?
In some ways, yes. It is arguably the most active thing your brain does. It's maintenance, it's memory consolidation, it's emotional regulation, it's neurochemical cleaning.
Cleaning? What do you mean cleaning?
Literally cleaning. There is a system called the glymphatic system that opens up when you sleep to flush out metabolic waste products that build up in your brain during the day.
Wait, so there's actual trash in my brain?
There is. Things like beta amyloid plaques, which are associated with Alzheimer's. If you don't sleep, that trash doesn't get taken out. So what's fascinating about the sources we have today is that they show how fragile that process is.
Okay.
It's not just one thing that disrupts it. It's a constellation of choices we make from the moment we wake up until we hit the pillow.
A constellation of choices. I like that. It sounds poetic. But as we go through this, I have a feeling it's going to feel a bit like a minefield.
It can be, but it's an understandable one.
We're looking at sources ranging from expert commentary by physiologists to deep dives into Reddit timestamps, studies on office workers, and even data on how spicy food affects your body temperature.
It is a diverse mix, but it paints a really coherent picture.
Yes.
We have data on caffeine kinetics, the impact of blue light filters, the thermal effects of your dinner, and even how your office window or lack thereof changes your night.
So the mission is to hack sleep. Or I suppose hack is the wrong word because biology doesn't really like being hacked.
I prefer optimize. Yeah. We want to understand the machinery so we can operate it better. Hacking implies a shortcut. And as we'll see, there aren't many shortcuts when it comes to biology. But there are certainly optimizations.
Optimization it is. Let's start with what I call the chemical switchboard.
Okay.
We put a lot of stuff into our bodies, and I don't think people realize just how long some of this stuff sticks around. We have to start with the big one. The one that fuels the global economy. Caffeine.
The most popular psychoactive drug in the world.
Exactly. Now, I love my coffee. I am arguably a better person after I've had my coffee. But I was reading through this meta-analysis, and my jaw just hit the floor. We always hear, don't drink coffee before bed. That's standard advice. But they put a specific number on it.
They did. And it's a number that is going to make a lot of afternoon coffee drinkers very, very uncomfortable.
The 8.8-hour rule.
The 8.8-hour rule. Right. So let's break this down. This meta-analysis looked at a huge range of studies to determine the kinetics of caffeine, how it moves through the body, and its effect on sleep duration. They found that if you want to avoid reducing your total sleep time, the cutoff for a standard cup of coffee.
And what's a standard cup?
We're talking about 107 milligrams of caffeine, roughly. For that, the cutoff is 8.8 hours before bedtime.
8.8 hours.
Yeah.
So let's just do the math on that. If I go to bed at 11:20 p.m., which I think is pretty standard for a lot of working adults, I basically have to stop drinking coffee by, what, roughly 2.15 p.m.?
Yes. And that is for a standard cup. If you push that later, you are statistically likely to reduce your total sleep duration.
So I might not even notice it. I might just lose 15 minutes, 30 minutes.
Exactly. And that adds up over a week. You're building a sleep debt you don't even realize you're creating.
But here's where it gets really interesting, specifically for the gym goers listening. Because a lot of people get off work at 5:00 p.m. and head straight to the gym. And what do?
They take pre-workout.
They take pre-workout, which is often loaded with caffeine.
Absolutely loaded.
The study looked at that, right? The
Yeah.
stuff that makes your skin tingle?
Yeah, they did. And those supplements usually have a much higher dose. The study averaged it around 217.5 milligrams.
Oh, double a strong cup of coffee.
At least. And for that amount of caffeine, the buffer zone isn't 8.8 hours. It expands to 13.2 hours.
13.2 hours. That's impossible.
It's pretty close to it, yeah.
If you work out at 5 p.m., you'd have to take your pre-workout at what, like 4 a.m. the day of?
Effectively, yes.
Yeah.
If you are taking a high-stimulant pre-workout in the evening, the data suggests you are almost certainly impairing your sleep. There's really no way around it.
But wait, I have friends, and I'm sure you do too, who say, oh, I can drink an espresso at dinner and fall asleep fine. Are they lying? Are they superhuman? What's going on?
This is the most dangerous myth about caffeine. They aren't necessarily lying about falling asleep. They might physically lose consciousness. But caffeine doesn't just keep you awake. It changes the structure of your sleep.
The architects.
The architecture, exactly. Sleep has these cycles, these stages. You have N1 and N2, which are lighter stages. Then you have N3, which is the deep, slow-wave sleep. That's the good stuff. And then REM sleep.
Okay.
Caffeine is an adenosine antagonist. It blocks the chemical that tells your brain it's tired. Even if you manage to fall asleep, the caffeine is still floating around in your system, and it suppresses that deep, slow-wave sleep.
So you're sleeping, but you're stuck in the shallow end of the pool.
Precisely. It increases stage 1 sleep, that very light transitional sleep where a car door slamming 2 streets over might wake you up. And it decreases the deep sleep where all that restoration happens.
As you wake up, you think, I slept 8 hours. Why do I feel so groggy?
And then you drink more coffee to fix it.
Oh, it's a vicious cycle. You're medicating the problem you caused with the medication you're taking to solve the problem.
That is a perfect way to describe it.
No, we should add a layer of nuance here because we want to be accurate to the source stack. There was one study, right, from the Jackson Heart Sleep Study.
Yes, this is important. Science is rarely black and white.
And it involved African-American participants. And it found something slightly contradictory.
That's right. In that specific cohort, they didn't see a strong association between evening caffeine consumption and disrupted sleep parameters.
So why would that be? Is it genetic?
It likely is. We know that the speed at which you metabolize caffeine is largely dictated by a gene called CYP1A2.
Okay.
Some people are fast metabolizers. Their liver clears caffeine very quickly. Others are slow metabolizers. For them, a morning coffee can still be affecting them at bedtime.
So if you're a fast metabolizer, you might be the person who can drink espresso at dinner.
You might be, but here's the thing. Unless you have had genetic testing to confirm you are a fast metabolizer, banking on being an outlier is a risky strategy.
It's a gamble.
It's a huge gamble. And even if you can fall asleep, do you want to risk the sleep quality? The deep sleep. For the vast majority of the population, the broad meta-analysis holds true. The 8.8-hour rule is the safe bet.
It's like playing roulette with your rest. Better to just switch to decaf or herbal tea in the afternoon.
Exactly.
Okay, let's pivot to the other liquid courage. Alcohol.
Ah, the nightcap.
The classic nightcap. The idea that a drink helps you unwind and sleep better. It's so ingrained in our culture. Have a brandy, it'll help you sleep.
It is a very, very persistent myth, and we need to be very clear on the terminology here. Alcohol does not help you sleep.
Okay.
It helps you sedate.
Sedation versus sleep. I feel like most people use those words interchangeably. What's the difference?
It's a huge difference. Sedation is just switching off the consciousness. It is pharmacological unconsciousness. It's like anesthesia.
Right.
Sleep is a complex rhythmic cycle of brain waves that your brain actively generates. When you drink, you might pass out faster. We call that reduced sleep onset latency. But the quality of what follows is just destroyed.
One of our sources was pretty blunt about this. He said alcohol helps you fall asleep but ruins the continuity.
That's the fragmentation issue.
Right. There was a study that found alcohol consumed even 4 hours before bed leads to significantly more fragmentation.
Fragmentation is a polite way of saying your sleep is shattered. You experience these micro-awakenings.
Micro-awakenings. So you don't even remember them.
You might not. You don't necessarily wake up, look at the clock, and say, I'm awake, but your brain snaps out of deep sleep into a lighter stage or momentary wakefulness. It happens over and over.
Why does it do that? What's the mechanism?
A few reasons. One is something called the rebound effect. Alcohol suppresses a neurotransmitter called glutamate.
Okay.
Glutamate is an excitatory chemical. It's a stimulant, basically, so alcohol pushes it down. But when the alcohol starts to wear off, usually halfway through the night, your brain realizes it has suppressed glutamate for too long, and it releases a surge of it to compensate.
So your brain effectively spikes itself with a stimulant at 3 a.m.
Exactly. That's why you wake up wide awake, maybe anxious, heart pounding in the middle of the night after drinking.
And that leads to the physiological response. The sources mention the heart rate issue.
This is critical. Sleep is supposed to be the time when your cardiovascular system rests. Your heart rate should drop. Your blood pressure should dip.
Right.
This is called the nocturnal dip. It's vital for heart health. Alcohol prevents this. It activates the sympathetic nervous system.
The fight or flight system.
The fight or flight system. So you're lying in bed, unconscious, but your body thinks it's running from a bear.
Wow.
In a sense, yes, your heart rate stays elevated. Your body is working hard to metabolize the toxin because alcohol is a toxin, and it's in a state of stress.
So you wake up feeling unrefreshed because physically you haven't rested.
You've been running a marathon of metabolic stress all night.
That explains the anxiety the next day.
It's textbook.
Okay, so caffeine keeps you in light sleep. Alcohol knocks you out but fragments you and stresses your heart. What about nicotine? I feel like this one flies under the radar a bit.
It really does.
People think of smoking as a relaxant. I need a cigarette to calm my nerves.
It does fly under the radar, which is surprising because the effects are profound. The data shows smokers have a 2.5 times higher risk of insomnia compared to non-smokers.
2.5 times. That is massive.
It is, and the mechanism is tricky because, like you said, people smoke to relax. But biochemically, nicotine is a stimulant.
Right.
It increases heart rate, it increases alertness, it releases dopamine. It is doing the exact opposite of what you want your body to do before bed.
And the sources mention that it also fragments sleep, similar to alcohol.
Yes, but potentially for a different reason. The half-life of nicotine is quite short, about 2 hours. So if you smoke or vape right before bed, your body metabolizes that nicotine relatively quickly.
So you go into withdrawal while you're sleeping.
Potentially, yes. Your body essentially wakes you up saying, hey, levels are low, I need more. It's a craving that can literally pull you out of deep sleep.
It's like a hunger pang, but for nicotine.
Exactly. Plus, there is the physical aspect. If you are a smoker, your lung function is likely compromised. You might have mild obstructive issues, wheezing, or just lower oxygenation efficiency.
So your body's already working harder to breathe.
Right. And one of the studies found that nicotine use within 4 hours of bed was linked to lower sleep efficiency and more time spent awake after initially falling asleep, what we call WSO, or wake after sleep onset.
It just seems like the chemical switchboard is mostly just a panel of buttons we shouldn't press after, 2 p.m.?
Pretty much. If you want to optimize sleep, the chemical environment of your body needs to be clean before you try to shut down.
You can't chemically accelerate your brain with nicotine or caffeine or chemically sedate it with alcohol.
And expect the delicate natural machinery of sleep to work. It's about getting out of your own way.
Getting out of your own way. I like that. Okay, let's move from the internal chemistry to the external environment, what we put around our bodies. And specifically, light.
Light, the primary Zeitgeber.
Zeitgeber. That sounds like a Bond villain.
It does, doesn't it? It's German for time giver.
Ah.
In chronobiology, the study of biological time as Zeitgeber is any external cue that synchronizes our internal biological rhythms to the Earth's 24-hour cycle.
And light is the most powerful one.
By far.
And in the modern world, we have completely confused our relationship with light. We've basically divorced ourselves from the sun.
We have. We live in dim caves during the day.
Our offices.
And stare into bright stars at night.
Our phones.
Exactly.
I want to talk about this study on office windows because I think this is something people don't think about. We worry so much about screens at night, but this study suggests we should be worrying about the light we get or don't get during the day.
This is the other side of the coin, and it's so important. A study looked at office workers and compared those who sat near windows to those who worked in windowless environments.
Windowless office. The dungeon. I've worked in one of those. It's soul-crushing.
It is, and the results were stark. The workers with windows obviously got significantly more light exposure, but the downstream effects were amazing.
What happened?
They slept significantly longer, 46 minutes more per night on average.
Wait, 46 minutes more sleep just by having a window?
Just from having a window.
That's almost an hour of extra rest every single night. That's life-changing.
It is huge. And they also reported better sleep quality and more physical activity during the day.
Why does a window make you sleep longer? What's the connection?
It's the circadian rhythm. Your body needs a strong signal of day to have a strong signal of night.
Okay.
Daylight is the battery charger. It anchors your rhythm. When sunlight hits your eyes, specifically the melanopsin cells in your retina, it tells your brain, okay, start the timer, be awake now, suppress melatonin.
Mm-hmm.
If you spend all day in dim artificial light, your body never really gets that strong wake-up signal. So when night comes, the corresponding sleep signal, the release of melatonin, is weak and delayed.
Like contrast. You need the bright white to make the black blacker.
That's a perfect analogy. High-intensity light exposure during the day protects your sleep at night.
So if you're struggling to sleep, the answer might not be just turn off the phone. It might be go outside at lunch.
Absolutely. Even on a cloudy day, the light intensity outside is vastly superior to almost any indoor lighting.
But let's talk about the phone, because we live in a world of blue light. We've been told 1,000 times, blue light suppresses melatonin.
Correct. Melatonin is the hormone of darkness. It's the vampire hormone. It only comes out at night. Blue light, specifically in the 460 to 480 nanometer range, tells the brain it's high noon. It just slams the brakes on melatonin production.
So the tech companies, in their infinite wisdom, gave us night mode or night shift. The screen turns that amber pumpkin soup color. Problem solved, right? We can scroll until 2 a.m.
Well, this is where it gets really interesting. We have conflicting data here, which is always fun.
I love a good scientific cage match.
So on one hand, we have a study that looked at smartphone users, and they found that using these blue light filter apps didn't make a significant difference in sleep quality for most people.
Wait, really? So the orange screen does nothing?
In that study, statistically, it wasn't a magic bullet. It didn't suddenly fix the sleep issues. But then we have another study, this one on medical students, and in that group, reducing blue light did significantly improve their subjective sleep quality. Their sleep scores went from bad to good.
Okay, so why the difference? Why did it work for the students, but not the other group?
It could be the population. Medical students are under incredible stress and might be more sensitive to any small improvement. Or could just be that the effect is small. But the expert consensus is leaning towards the idea that software filters are, well, they're insufficient.
Why?
Because it's not just about the color of the light, it's about the content. And that brings us to what I'm calling the Reddit factor.
A Reddit factor. This study is incredible. They analyzed 120 million timestamps from Reddit posts.
120 million. That is a massive data set. It's incredible.
And they found a likely causal link. It wasn't just that people were posting because they couldn't sleep. The act of posting kept them awake.
Exactly. This destroys the argument of, I'm just scrolling until I feel tired. The scrolling is preventing you from feeling tired.
It's the engagement, right? It's not just the light hitting your eyes. It's the argument you're having in the comments section about, I don't know which superhero would win in a fight.
Right. They found that high engagement forums where you're debating, arguing, or getting intense feedback delayed sleep onset significantly more.
And posting multiple times made it even worse.
It wakes up your brain, you're socially engaged, you're cognitively aroused.
Right.
Remember, we are social animals. Social connection or social threat is highly stimulating. If you are on Reddit or X, formerly Twitter, fighting with a stranger about politics, your cortisol is up. Your adrenaline is up.
It doesn't matter if your screen is orange.
It doesn't matter. Your brain is in combat mode.
That makes total sense. I've definitely laid in bed fuming over a comment. I can't believe they said that. And suddenly it's 2:00 a.m.
That is cognitive arousal.
Yeah.
You cannot sleep if your brain is in a state of high arousal, period.
And that connects to the TV aspect, too.
Yeah.
The sources mentioned that the content matters.
Yes. Watching a thriller or an action movie before bed, it triggers the same physiological arousal, heart rate up, adrenaline up. If you're watching a car chase, your brain is mirroring that excitement.
So if you're going to watch TV, you should watch something boring.
Yes. Reruns of a show you've seen a million times.
Like a sitcom from the 90s.
Exactly. Predictability is calming. Novelty is stimulating.
There was also a note in the sources about the sleep debt associated with leaving the TV on.
Yes, sleeping with the TV on creates sleep debt. You might fall asleep, but the flickering light and the constant changes in sound volume cause those microarousals we talked about. You aren't getting deep rest.
And interestingly, one study noted that non-Hispanic Black women might be disproportionately burdened by this light-at-night exposure.
Yes, this is likely a mix of environmental and socioeconomic factors.
How so?
It could be living in more dense urban areas with higher light pollution streetlights shining through windows. Or perhaps living in smaller spaces where the TV is in the bedroom or shared spaces out of necessity.
It highlights that sleep health isn't just a personal choice, it's also a public health and equity issue.
Absolutely. You can't just say sleep better if someone lives in an environment where darkness and quiet are luxuries.
So the takeaway on light: get sun during the day. And at night, it's not just about blocking blue light, it's about blocking excitement.
Boring is beautiful for sleep.
Boring is beautiful. I like that. Let's move into the bedroom ecosystem itself. We've talked about light, but what about the other senses? Heat and noise.
This is where we get into what one study called the hierarchy of disturbance.
Ooh, sounds ominous, like a heavy metal band.
It does. A study compared the effects of heat and noise on sleep. Now, if I asked you what disturbs your sleep more, a hot room or a loud noise, what would you say?
Intuitively. Noise. A car honking, a dog barking, that snaps me awake instantly. A hot room is just uncomfortable.
That's what most people think. Noise is annoying, and it does cause stage changes. It lightens your sleep, pushes you from deep to light sleep. But the study found that heat was actually more disruptive to the deep restorative phases of sleep.
Heat is worse than noise.
In terms of physiological restoration, yes. Heat, specifically 35 degrees Celsius in the study, which is very hot.
That's 95 Fahrenheit. That's a sauna.
It is, but even moderate heat does this. It aggressively reduces slow-wave sleep and REM sleep. It increases the number of awakenings.
Why does heat hit us so hard?
Because your body needs to drop its core temperature to initiate and maintain deep sleep. It's a thermoregulatory requirement.
Oh, okay.
Your core body temp needs to drop by about 1 to 2 degrees Fahrenheit to stay asleep. Your body is basically trying to refrigerate itself slightly.
Right.
If the room is hot, your body is fighting a constant battle to cool down. It's engaging active cooling mechanisms, sweating, vasodilation, where it sends blood to the skin to release heat.
So it's working instead of resting.
Exactly. It can't relax into the deep paralysis of REM sleep if it's struggling to thermoregulate. You are prioritizing survival temperature control over restoration.
What is the ideal range then? Because
Okay.
my spouse and I fight about the thermostat constantly.
The science is on the side of the cold.
Oh, this is good news for me.
The ideal range is surprisingly cool, 18 to 22 degrees Celsius,
Which is what, in Fahrenheit?
roughly 64 to 72 Fahrenheit.
64 degrees. That is chilly.
It is chilly, but that's what the biology wants. You can use blankets, of course. In fact, a heavy blanket can be comforting. But the ambient air needs to be cool enough to allow heat to escape your head and body. If the air is hot, the heat has nowhere to go.
And what about darkness? We talked about screens, but what about just ambient light? A street lamp outside or a bedside lamp left on?
Total darkness is the goal.
Yeah.
There was a study on bedside lights. Even a low-level light left on caused shallower sleep.
Oh.
It suppressed slow-wave sleep and changed the brain oscillation patterns, the actual theta and delta waves.
It actually changes your brain waves through your eyelids.
Yes. Your brain perceives the light, even through closed eyelids. The eyelids are translucent, the light hits the retina, and the brain thinks, okay, it's not quite safe to go fully offline yet. It keeps the brain in a state of semi-alertness.
So blackout curtains aren't just a luxury. They're a medical device, essentially.
I would argue yes. Light pollution is a genuine health hazard. Here's a good test. If you can see your hand in front of your face in your bedroom after your eyes have adjusted to the dark, it's too bright.
That's a great test, the hand test.
Exactly.
Okay, we've fixed the room. It's dark, it's cold, we're not looking at Reddit. Now let's talk about what's happening in our stomachs. Nutrition. We all know we shouldn't eat a massive lasagna right before bed. But is there hard data on the timing?
There is. There's a study that gives us the 3-hour rule.
Another rule, I like rules, they're actionable.
Eating within 3 hours of bedtime increased the odds of nocturnal awakening by 1.6 times.
So you're almost twice as likely to wake up in the middle of the night if you eat late?
Yes. And again, it comes down to energy allocation. Digestion is an energy-intensive process. Your stomach is churning, acids are releasing, enzymes are breaking down proteins, blood is diverted to the gut.
And sleep is also an energy-intensive process for the brain.
Exactly. If your body is focusing on breaking down a steak, it cannot focus on the delicate neurological processes of sleep maintenance. You are asking your body to run a marathon in the gut and hibernate in the brain simultaneously. It's a conflict of interest.
And specific foods make this worse. The spicy food study, this one was wild. They used Tabasco and mustard.
This connects back to the heat issue we just discussed. They found that spicy food reduced slow-wave sleep and increased wakefulness.
Was it just because of heartburn or indigestion?
You'd think so, right? That's the obvious conclusion. But no, it was thermoregulation again.
Really?
Spicy foods, specifically capsaicin, the compound in chili peppers, induce thermogenesis. They raise your body temperature.
The meat sweats. Or the chili sweats.
Essentially, you are chemically heating your body up from the inside right at the moment you need to be cooling down to sleep. You are fighting your body's natural rhythm with chili peppers.
So, no curry at 9:00 p.m. Got it. What about things that help? We hear a lot about magnesium. It's the darling of the wellness industry right now. Take magnesium, sleep like a baby.
The data on magnesium is it's lukewarm.
Oh, don't break my heart. I take magnesium every night. I have the spray, the powder, the pills.
Well, don't throw them out just yet. A meta-analysis showed that it might help you fall asleep about 17 minutes faster.
17 minutes. That's not nothing. If you're staring at the ceiling, 17 minutes is a lifetime.
It's not nothing, but the quality of the evidence was graded as low.
So it's not a magic bullet.
It's not a magic bullet. However, it is cheap, generally safe, and we know magnesium plays a role in muscle relaxation and GABA regulation, which is a calming neurotransmitter. So it's worth a try. If it works for you, even if it's partly placebo, keep doing it. But don't expect it to cure chronic insomnia on its own.
What about vitamin D? That came up too.
Now, vitamin D has a much stronger association. A big study found a clear link between vitamin D deficiency and sleep disorders.
How clear?
If you are low on vitamin D, you have a 50% higher risk of sleep disturbance.
50%. That's huge compared to the magnesium finding.
It is significantly more impactful statistically. Vitamin D receptors are found all over the brain in the areas that regulate the sleep-wake cycle, like the hypothalamus.
So if you're deficient, the machinery just doesn't work right.
The switches are faulty.
Yeah.
And considering how many people are deficient, especially those of us working in those windowless offices we talked about, this is low-hanging fruit.
So get some sun for the light and the vitamin D. It's a 2-for-1 deal.
Exactly. Or take a supplement if you live at a place without much sun.
Okay, let's talk about the final piece of the puzzle, habits, the daily grind. Specifically, napping. I love a nap. Sunday afternoon nap, best thing in the world. But am I sabotaging myself?
You might be. This is the napping paradox.
The napping paradox.
We think napping gives us energy, but one study found that frequent nappers, people napping 3 or more times a week, actually showed higher nighttime sleep fragmentation.
So the more you nap, the worse you sleep at night.
It seems so. And timing is everything. Late naps, defined as less than 7 hours before bed, were strongly associated with poorer sleep quality.
So if I go to bed at 11 and I nap at 5 p.m., I'm in trouble.
You are eating into your sleep drive.
Sleep drive, what's that?
Think of sleep drive like hunger. You build up an appetite for sleep the longer you are awake. That's the buildup of that chemical adenosine in the brain.
Okay.
If you take a nap at 5 p.m., you aren't hungry for sleep at 11 p.m., you've taken the edge off.
That makes perfect sense.
Okay.
I wouldn't eat a burger at 5 p.m. and expect to be hungry for dinner at 7.
Exactly. So if you are going to nap, the rule is keep it early and keep it short. A power nap of 20 minutes before 2 p.m., probably fine for most people. A 2-hour nap at 6 p.m., you are wrecking your night.
And speaking of wrecking the night, we have to touch on routine, the importance of regularity.
The body craves predictability. We have all these internal clocks for hormones, for digestion, for temperature. They work best when they are synchronized.
And when we change our sleep times,
You throw them all into chaos. If you go to sleep at 10 p.m. one night and 2 a.m. the next, what we call social jet lag, you are constantly forcing your body to recalibrate. It creates metabolic chaos.
and one habit that creates chaos is working from bed. I feel like this became huge during the pandemic.
The double negative.
Why is it a double negative?
First, psychological association. You are training your brain that bed equals work stress. The bed should only be for sleep and intimacy. That's it. If your brain sees the pillow and thinks, spreadsheet, you're not going to relax.
It's a classical conditioning,
Yeah.
like Pavlov's dog,
You see the pillow, you salivate for Excel.
or you spike cortisol for Excel.
Exactly. And the second negative,
What's the other one?
posture. Purely physical tension. Hunching over a laptop in bed creates muscle tension in the neck and shoulders. Physical pain or discomfort is a massive sleep disruptor. You can't enter deep relaxation if your trapezius muscles are spasming from typing at an awkward angle.
So get the laptop out of the bed.
Absolutely. The bedroom is a sanctuary, not a satellite office.
Okay, we have covered a massive amount of ground here. We've dissected the chemistry, the light, the temperature, the food, the habits. Let's try to synthesize this. If we were to design the perfect sleep day based on all these sources, what does it look like? Walk me through the protocol.
Okay, let's build the optimized protocol.
Start with morning. What's the first thing you do?
You wake up and immediately seek light. Don't look at your phone. Open the curtains, or better yet, step outside for 10 minutes. Even on a cloudy day, you are charging the circadian battery.
Okay, afternoon.
You hit your caffeine cutoff based on that 8.8-hour rule. If you plan to sleep at 10 p.m., no coffee after roughly 1:15 p.m.
And absolutely no pre-workout after lunch.
No, that's a definite no. Dinner is early, the 3-hour rule. So you finish eating by 7 p.m. if you sleep at 10. And you keep it mild. No spicy food to spike your thermogenesis. If you drink alcohol, you keep it to happy hour, not a nightcap, so it has time to metabolize before sleep.
And then the nighttime routine, the wind down.
2 hours before bed, you manage the light. Ideally, no screens. If you must use screens, physical blue blocking glasses are better than just the software apps.
And crucially, curate the content.
Yes. No fighting on Reddit, no thriller movies. Low arousal activities only. Read a boring book. Listen to calm music.
And the bedroom setup itself.
You make it a cave, the Bat Cave. Cool somewhere between 18 and 22 Celsius or 64 to 72 Fahrenheit. Pitch black, no bedside lights, no street lights leaking in, and as quiet as you can make it.
It sounds like a lot of work.
It is work, but the payoff is biological restoration. It's an investment.
And that leads to the big question. So what? Why should we care this much? Is it really worth re-architecting our whole lives just to close our eyes better?
I think we have to reframe what sleep is. We tend to view it as the off time, the time we lose, the inconvenient third of our lives.
Right.
But biologically, it is the foundation. It is when you repair your heart. It is when you cement the things you learn that day into long-term memory. It is when you clean out the metabolic waste from your brain, literally preventing neurodegeneration.
So it's not downtime, it's repair time.
It is the single most effective performance enhancer we have. If you could put the benefits of sleep into a pill, better mood, better memory, stronger immune system, lower stress, better hormonal regulation, it would be the most expensive, most sought-after drug on Earth.
And that is a powerful way to put it.
And here's a thought to leave you with. We spend a third of our lives doing this. 25, 30 years of our lives are spent asleep. Yet we treat it as an inconvenience. We squeeze it into the margins of our work and our entertainment.
We trade it for one more episode on a streaming service or one more email.
Exactly. But if we viewed sleep as the absolute foundation of our health, equal to, or maybe even more important than, diet and exercise, how drastically would we change our architecture?
What do you mean?
Would we still build windowless offices? How would we design our work schedules? Would the 9-to-5 still exist? How would we design our digital lives and our social media platforms?
If sleep was the priority, not the afterthought.
Right. If we built our society around the biological necessity of rest, instead of trying to force our biology to fit into a 247 society that never sleeps.
That is something to sleep on, or hopefully sleep well on, after all this.
Indeed.
Thank you for diving deep with us today. Hopefully you've got some tools now to hack your own optimize your machinery.
Optimize.
Optimize. Thanks for listening. We'll see you in the next deep dive.
Good night.
Good night.